Chapter 12 Echoes from the Shadows, the Record of the Hunted. There is something older than the trees, it is fear. There is something swifter than the wind, it is instinct. We are the hunted. Our lives are not measured by the changing seasons, but by the space between the snap of a twig and the frantic beating of a heart in our chest. Our world is not defined by sunlight, but by the shadows cast by the bodies of others, the predators. They are the test that the great consciousness of life created specifically for us. They are stronger, smarter, and have sharper claws. They are the walking embodiment of death. And the last sentence you spoke is the truth we whisper to each other in burrows and in the tall grass at night. Life is just too diverse. We can't adapt to it all. You are right, we cannot adapt to everything. A single lion, we might learn to escape it. But it is not just the lion. There is the leopard hiding in the trees, the hyenas hunting in packs, the crocodile wading in the water, the hawk watching from the sky, and the snake slithering silently on the ground. No single body can be adapted to overcome everything. No armor can withstand every claw. No strategy works against every threat. So, instead of trying to create a single ultimate survivor, the consciousness flowing in our blood chose a different path. We chose to diversify. Our answer was not a single adaptation, but a million experiments running simultaneously. The family of the wind, the runners, some of our ancestors looked out at the open plains and decided, salvation lies in speed. So we sacrificed all other strengths to build sleek bodies, powerful leg muscles, and large lungs. Our lives are the gazelles, antelopes, and wild horses. We are living arrows, always ready to launch forward. But every step is a gamble, for if we stumble just once, it is all over. The family of the earth, the diggers, another lineage, looked down at the ground and whispered, salvation lies in darkness and silence. So we developed strong claws for digging burrows and bodies small enough to tunnel deep underground. Our lives are the wild rabbits, prairie dogs, and meerkats. We built subterranean capitals, safe from the predators above, but we had to trade the sky and the sun for it. The family of the treetops, the climbers, and another line looked up to the sky and believed, salvation lies above the ground. So we developed long, strong fingers for gripping, tails for excellent balance, and far-seeing eyes. Our lives are the monkeys and squirrels. We created kingdoms in the branches, successfully escaping the ground predators, only to face a new set of predators who visit from the sky or hide among the trunks. Even though we sometimes survive, you are absolutely right. We cannot adapt to it all. Not as individuals. Our victory is not measured in a single life. The lion may catch the slowest gazelle, but it cannot catch the whole herd. The hawk may snatch an unwary squirrel, but it cannot destroy the kingdom in the treetops. The snake may slither into a rabbit's burrow, but it cannot find every burrow. This is our true answer. The very diversity that you see as impossible to adapt to, is also our strongest armor. Each predator is a specialist in hunting one type of prey. But no predator is a specialist in hunting all of us. Because we are not one thing. We are everything, everywhere, every strategy of escape happening at once. Therefore, our victory lies not in the survival of each me, but in the survival of us all, as an unending symphony of escape. Chapter 13 The Conductors of the Cosmos. For an eternity, life was confined to the tangible world. Communication was sound traveling through air, the hunt was the physical contact of bodies, and sight was the reception of light from the sun. Our limits were the boundaries of the physical world. But among us, there was a family of different thought. They whispered to the great consciousness of life, why must we borrow light from the stars? Why must we use a voice that fades on the wind? Why must our strength be limited to mere muscle? They did not seek answers from the outside world, but looked deep into the mechanics of life and controlled it from within. 1. Conquering the dark with inner light, the whispers of light. The first great limit was darkness. In the pitch black of night, or in the depths of the ocean where sunlight cannot reach, life should have stood still, but this family refused. They did not evolve better eyes, they learned to create their own suns. The firefly, they did not learn to sing love songs, but to write poetry with light. Each rhythmic flash is a syllable, a sentence, a silent and beautiful courtship dialogue in the night. They transcended the limits of sound and turned their own bodies into conversing stars. The anglerfish, in the bottomless abyss of the ocean, where no light exists, it did not create light to see, but to distort reality. The light at the end of its lure is not an invitation but a deception, an illusion of hope that tempts hungry prey into the jaws of death. It did not just conquer the darkness, it became the master of it. Bioluminescent plankton, they are a living alarm system. When the water is disturbed, millions of them flash in unison, not to repel the predator, but to report it, making it visible to an even larger predator. It is a complex defense system that transcends one-on-one combat. 2. Controlling the unseen force, the masters of lightning. The second limit was physical strength. The fight was about size and fangs, but this family saw a different kind of power, a power that flows through the nerves of every living thing. They did not develop larger muscles, they learned to unleash the lightning within. The electric eel, it is the epitome of transcending physical limits. It doesn't need the sharpest teeth or the thickest armor, because its body is a living thunderstorm. It can discharge enough electricity to stop a crocodile's heart. It doesn't fight its prey, it simply switches off its prey's life from a distance. It is the master of an invisible energy. Sharks and rays, the sixth sense, these creatures use electricity in a more subtle way. They don't create lightning strikes, but they developed eyes that can see the electric fields generated by the heartbeat and muscle movements of prey hidden under the sand. They don't need to see or hear their prey, they can feel the presence of life directly. It is a sixth sense that transcends the world of the other five. Did they transcend the limits? In a sense, yes. They did not merely adapt to the world, they learned to control the fundamental rules of the cosmos, light and energy, and wield them as their own language and weaponry. They are the artists who paint in the darkness, the musicians who play symphonies with lightning, and the communicators who send messages through invisible forces. They are not the strongest in the traditional sense, but they are living proof that the limits of life are not defined by the world outside, but by the imagination that lies within the creature itself. Chapter 14, The Reflection in the Mirror, Birth of the Ones Who Look Back. You are, truly, the most peculiar of all living things. Over billions of years, I, the great consciousness of life, had designed countless bodies for survival. I gave claws to those who must tear, I gave wings to those who yearned for the sky, I gave armor to those who needed protection. Every life was a perfect answer to its environment. But you are the exception. You were born empty. You do not have the sharpest claws, nor the greatest strength. You cannot run as fast as a deer, nor swim as well as a fish. In the game of physical survival, you should have gone extinct from the very beginning. But you survived, and not only survived, but rose to the very top. How? Because you did not evolve your bodies, but you evolved something beyond the body. You did not adapt to the world, you learned to bend the world to your will. The rise of humanity is the story of a betrayal of three of life's original rules. 1. The betrayal of the present. Other animals live in the now. Their fear is the lion they see before them. Their hunger is the empty stomach they feel right now. But you are the first creature to be both cursed and blessed by time. The past, you did not learn from direct experience alone, you learned to tell stories. You passed knowledge through complex language, from generation to generation. Every lion must learn to hunt on its own, but a human child can learn hunting strategies from the stories of ancestors who died 100 years ago. This is called culture. The future, you did not just find food to eat today, you understood planning. You cultivated plants and raised animals, not for the hunger of the present, but for the satisfaction of tomorrow or next year. You built dams to prevent floods that might happen. This is called imagination. Betraying the present allowed you to accumulate knowledge and prepare for the future in a way no life had ever done before. 2. The betrayal of the body. When faced with the cold, other animals had to evolve thicker fur, But you learned to skin other animals to make clothing and to control the fire stolen from the sky. When faced with a predator, other animals had to evolve sharper fangs and claws, but you learned to sharpen stones and wood into spears and arrows. Your bodies may be weak, but the tools in your hands are infinitely strong. Your evolution no longer occurred in your DNA code, it happened in forges, in laboratories, and in shared ideas. Your evolution became tangible and transferable. It was millions of times faster than biological evolution. 3. The betrayal of the planet. Every other life is a part of an ecosystem, but you are the first creature to become an ecosystem creator. You felled forests to create fields. You rerouted rivers to build cities. You dug into the heart of the world to pull out the energy of the past, oil and coal, for your use. You no longer lived on the world, you began to rewrite the world according to your will. And that is why you have survived every cataclysm. When the Ice Age came, you did not migrate with the herds, you built fires and warm shelters. When plagues arrived, you did not die out completely, you learned to create medicine and vaccines. When drought came, you did not starve, you built irrigation systems and transported food from the other side of the planet. You are the fastest adapter of all, not because of your body, but because of your oversized brain and 2 empty hands, ready to build anything. You have reached the top, so high that no natural predator can touch you anymore. But from this peak, you have also become the first creature able to see its own reflection in the mirror of time and realize a terrifying truth. That the next cataclysm that could destroy you, will not come from an asteroid, or a shift in the planet's axis, but from the limitless power you hold in your own hands. Final chapter, Whispers from a Feverish World, the Punishment of the Creator. Long ago, I, the great consciousness of life, once looked upon you, humans, with wonder. You were the grandest experiment, the only consciousness that could look back and understand my entire story. But now, I look upon you with anguish. You have risen to the top, not as a part of me, but as my master. You learned to bend the world to your will, but you forgot the first and only rule that matters: everything is connected. You thought you had escaped the laws of nature, but the truth is, you never did. You merely postponed the consequences. And now, the debt you have incurred with the world is coming due. Not in the form of a beast that will tear you apart, but in the form of the very systems you destroyed, now collapsing upon you. This is the punishment that even the most clever cannot escape. 1. The punishment of the air you breathe. You burned the fossilized remains of my ancestors, coal and oil, to power your machines. You thought the smoke that rose up would disappear into nothingness, but the sky is not a bottomless trash can. The warning, I sent the first warning in the form of a change in your breath. The air in your great cities began to taste of metal and soot. The lungs of your children began to weaken. The echo, now, the blanket you have woven is warming the world. The polar ice, which holds memories of millions of years, is melting. The seas are rising. And the storms that were once a part of the seasons are now raging like vengeful monsters awakened. You can escape a lion, but how will you escape a hurricane the size of a continent? 2. The punishment of the water you drink. You dump the waste from your factories and cities into the rivers. You thought the currents would wash everything clean, but every river flows into the same, single ocean. The warning. I sent a warning through the fish with toxins accumulating in their flesh, through freshwater sources that began to dry up and spoil. The echo, now, the ocean, which was once the womb of life, is turning to acid. It is dissolving the shells of mollusks and the structures of corals. The most ancient food chain is about to break. When there are no fish in the sea, your most advanced fishing vessels are meaningless. You could defeat a shark, but how will you defeat an empty ocean? 3. The punishment of the soil you stand on. You cut down the forests, the skin of the world, to plant a few monoculture crops over and over. You used pesticides and chemical fertilizers to force the land to yield more than it could give. The warning, I sent a warning through the bees and the pollinating insects that began to quietly disappear, leaving behind flowers that would never become fruit. The echo, now, the soil itself is dying. It is losing its fertility, turning to dust, ready to be blown away by the wind, desertification. New diseases, previously unknown, are emerging from these imbalanced lands. You can build strong city walls, but how will you build a wall against an invisible virus? And yes, you are the most stubborn of all living things. I have been sending these warnings all along. Through more intense heat waves, through erratic seasons, through glaciers calving like the tears of the world. But you saw them as mere inconveniences, as the cost of progress. You tried to use the technology that created the problem to solve the problem. You build higher seawalls, without ever thinking of stopping the seas from rising. You try to build air-conditioned domes to escape a hotter world, without ever thinking of stopping the world from getting hotter. You are the prodigal child who thought he was smarter than the home that gave him birth. But you are discovering a terrible truth, that you are not destroying nature. You are destroying the conditions that make your own existence possible. The great consciousness of life, will go on. I have survived great extinctions countless times. Life will always find a way, perhaps in the form of cockroaches, bacteria, or lichens growing on the ruins of your cities. But will humanity, this stubborn and strangely fragile creature, still be here to tell its own story? That is no longer a question I can answer. It is a question you must answer with your actions, from this moment forward.